creating youth work training and coaching horizons.
Marcus, thank you for passing me the word, and also thank you for opening the whole day, the whole webinar today. I have to say that I'm really so much happy to see the faces of all of you, even if it's virtually. It's still better than nothing, which will basically be the main message of the webinars today. And on the Wednesday, it was so great to hear your voices, to see you, just to get the energy. There are some more people who would like to get into the webinar. It's great.
Yes, I'm taking care of this.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
As Marcus said, we are going today and on Wednesday discuss together, and I will be more a facilitator of discussion than some kind of expert. We will discuss the online coaching because most of you, not all of you, we also have some other people here today, but most of you are part of our also training activities. We already had 2 of them. The first was dedicated to the roots and basics of coaching process, and the second one was focused on the eco coaching. And now, as it was already mentioned, we are going to meet in Slovakia to have a meeting or the training on training skills in coaching. And as you are supposed to have also the local practice, a lot of you are asking us questions about online formats, how we can approach it, how to overcome the challenges connected to online environment, what can be the benefits, how can we work in online format. So that's why we decided to have this topic also in our webinar format, so that we have the chance to open it all together. So give me just a few seconds and I will share the screen with the webinar. It should be okay, Marcus, is it?
Yes, it's exactly how we planned. All good. Yeah.
Perfect. Before we open a huge discussion in the plenary, we will start with a short discussion in a small groups, so that you can start sharing the challenges and opportunities you see yourself in the online coaching format. So soon, Marcus will divide you in small breakout rooms for 15 minutes. And please share together all the challenges or opportunities you see in using online coaching. Maybe you already have your own experiences, you can share it, or you haven't started yet and you have just the fears and some expectations and questions. So use the power of the group intelligence and different level of opportunities that you might probably have, and discuss it together. In 15 minutes, we will get back. We will share what you went through, and then we will summarize it all together, what the challenges and opportunities might be, and then we will slowly deal with each of it.
Already now, Dita? Yes?
Already now,
okay.
Yes.
So remember this is the task: discuss and analyze the challenges and opportunities of online coaching in today's digital environment. And with this, we start the travel service for 15 minutes.
Travel service, indeed. Enjoy the flight. Hello, Hanka.
Good, everybody's back.
And we have Andrea with us.
Ciao. Andrea joined in the meanwhile. Hanka joined also.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Hanka. Ciao, Andrea. Ciao. Great to have you all. So, Marcus, everybody is already back with the trip, from the trip?
Yep.
Perfect. Welcome back. So now it's time to share what you shared in the smaller groups. I'm really interested in what opportunities and challenges you realize that online coaching format could bring. So let's start firstly with the opportunities. where do you see the opportunities in online coaching? What did you share? What were some nice insights, experiences, opportunities of online coaching format? Who wants to start? Marcus will, I guess, see your hands up.
Okay, I can do this. Yeah, then I see Vasilis.
Yeah, one opportunity, a very big opportunity, is to travel all over the world and keep in touch with your clients. So it's very important.
That's true. That you can be flexible
Yeah,
as a client and also a coach, and you can still keep the sessions going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important.
Perfect. Did you experience this yourself?
Yes, I have
That's
some clients and we have online sessions because we cannot do something else sometimes.
perfect. Thank you, Vasilis. So it's the first opportunity mentioned. It's some kind of flexibility of the coach or even the client. You can still keep the flow of the sessions without the need of the physical space. What other opportunities did you realize the online coaching could have? Who would like to share?
Something that fits with the opportunity and challenges is about doing some coaching session with headache, and it helps. It's not just you making shorter the session, but also, hey, okay, it's okay if we do it online, or it helps.
Okay. So that you didn't have to physically travel or physically meet. If you don't feel very well physically, you still can use this online format. Did I get it right, Andrea?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Then Luca raised his hand.
For me, it's mainly a logistical advantage because I don't have a physical place where I can meet my clients. Like I have it, but it's not mine, so I have to ask and manage times and whatever. And with my online clients, it's much easier because we can just set an hour and it's done. I just need to find a quiet place, but it's not a problem. And also in the group, we talked about the advantage of the client can feel secure doing it online if he prefers, if they prefer it, because it can feel more secure, less invasive. They can do it from home where they feel safe. And so for me, it's mainly a logistical advantage.
Mhm.
But for the client, it can be also an emotional one.
Okay, that's true. It can be a matter of safety that the client is in his or her environment, and of course the logistical reasons. But I think that the logistical opportunities can apply both to the coach and the client too, sometimes. Thank you, Luca. Any other opportunities, or a better question, what other opportunities did you identify in online coaching formats? Rebecca.
Rebecca, yes.
So in my team, we pretty much discussed what it has already been mentioned, but just something to add on the opportunities is that it could be easier for the coach to start a new practice because you don't, as Lucas said, you don't need to find an actual physical place. So if you don't have any money, you can just start working online and then build on it little by little. And yes, just in general, the fact that it saves time for the client and some money because it's also the commute money. Or if a client lives abroad, they can still have a session in their native language, which is a barrier for a lot of people.
True. Thank you, Rebecca. Yes, very relevant contributions too. And Georgia? Georgia, it's your turn now.
You're still muted, Georgia.
Yes,
Now.
you were
Okay.
muted. Hi.
Hi. Yes. There is also a twofold issue. The positive one is that if you have online sessions, there is a big variety of also tools or of stuff that you can find online, so you can use it in your sessions and help your clients be more expressive or give more opportunities to him, her. So online also gives another vibe and can help establish a total different background or general atmosphere.
True. Thank you. Thank you. So the second perspective, what are the challenges that you are facing or you are fearing? You want to continue? Georgia?
Okay. Yes, I will say one thing is that online is usually, or at least no, for me, it's more demanding, especially in the beginning, in order to set up a rapport, build a rapport with my client, and brings me some obstacles because I cannot, as I say, read the aura of my client. So this lack of physical touch and connection is more difficult for me.
Yeah.
In order to bring the safe place or a comfortable place for my client.
Yeah, building the rapport and reading the aura of a person, very nicely said, can be, of course, in a way limited without this physical presence of a person. Yes. Thank you. What other challenges did you identify?
Can I say something?
Sure.
You can't also see the physical responses to what they say. If I ask them something and I can't see how they react, if they are anxious, if they fear something, so it's even more difficult.
It's more difficult to see or to read the emotions of the person. Yeah, thank you. What about other challenges? Did you identify anything else?
Can I also say something?
Of course.
Hi, everyone again. So I thought about, we discussed the signal loss, the signal problems. In a face-to-face session, there's no such thing as losing signal. So you connect with the client immediately. But in digital environment and digital session, that's a bit difficult. I mean, if the other person has Wi-Fi problems, or if you do, you lose time. It's not easy.
Yeah. So the thing is that the online coaching is very much dependent also on the technical qualities and technical competency. And if there is a problem on the technical side, it can destroy the whole flow. It can destroy all the processes of the coaching session. That's true. Very good point too. Some last challenge you identified in online coaching formats, maybe experiences you already have. Vasilis and Georgia, okay.
And Philip, yeah.
I like the physical health, so one challenge that someone said in our team it's that sometimes it's demanding when you have to prepare physical stuff like the reverse timeline or some metaphor, a visual metaphor or something like that, but needs more time to prepare it.
Yes, you need to prepare more in a more technical way. Yeah, you have to have the things ready, the tools ready, because you never know. In the physical session, you can choose the tool according to the flow. However, for the online format, you have the tools prepared, because if you use them, you need to how to do it. Yes, Georgia?
Is similar to Vasilis. Exactly what Vasilis said, plus it's the twofold thing I mentioned before. Some of the tools, at least in my experience, I couldn't use it online because even I created online or I tried to recreate them, wasn't the same. So it was like 0 ones.
Thank you. And Philip, Marcus, you said was
Philip
also.
raised his hand.
Yeah, I think it was not mentioned, and it's my experience. Somehow I feel it's easier to cancel the meeting or to not show up when it's online, and from both sides as well, not only from the client, but someone as a coach as well.
Okay, so you really mean like that the person simply doesn't react to the invitation to the link, simply is not there?
Yeah, so what happened to me, they forgot to say they cannot or something, and I was waiting.
Okay.
Or also what happened that they canceled, and it happens more often online than in person to me. So far.
That's true. That's true. It's more anonymous, maybe, the virtual environment. Thank you. And Roxy.
I think for me, it's like that. I don't like doing online sessions, and for me, it's like building rapport is like harder for in the online.
So building the rapport, as already was mentioned, like to connect to the person, really.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing. Let's briefly summarize this all. Yes, let me share it. It should be okay now. Do you see the slides?
Yes, it works.
Perfect. Okay, despite all the challenges that we just mentioned, it is becoming somehow a new normal. What is online coaching, or how we can define it, so that we all know what we are talking about on Monday and Wednesday. Online coaching is a coaching that is conducted through different digital platforms. And what I mean by the new normal, it's not long ago where this online coaching started to be a topic. This is just a summary of a modern history, I would say. As all of you, I guess, remember very well, in 2020, we faced a wave of lockdowns because of the COVID. And during the first lockdowns, many coaching or other supporting services were cancelled. But slowly, the whole helping somehow adopting or adjusting to the new situation. And slowly, the online formats became the integral part of the sector. It had several reasons. First, of course, that the people didn't want to lose the jobs, but also there were, thanks or because of the lockdown, many people who needed help, who needed to get some services of help, and it was not physically possible. So that's why the whole online coaching field started developing. And as I said, since the 2020, it is becoming a new normal. What I also wanted to share with you is that the first research that was ever done with this distance psychological and psychiatric care, it was not dedicated to coaching because coaching was not a relevant profession at the time. But in the United States of America in 1971, they compared the physical or offline therapy to the online one, which at the time was realized by the two-way television. So the people were connected by TVs, and the results were comparable to face-to-face work. So this is the first research we have from United States from the 1970s, where the efficiency of the process was tested. It doesn't mean that there are no differences between offline and online, but it means that if we know how to approach it, and if we take all the differences consciously into consideration, the efficiency of the process can stay on a good quality and still can bring help to people who wouldn't be helped because of different logistical, physical, or other barriers that they simply stay in their way to get to some professional help. That's also why we try to encourage you, and you don't necessarily have to love online coaching immediately, but to have the practice, to have the hands-on experience, to understand what benefits it can bring either me or the client or both of us, preferably, is still a part of a profile of a coach in 21st century. So if we just summarize together the benefits, you mostly mentioned it all. It's the increased accessibility. You can also approach people who are in remote corners without, for example, a physical opportunity to move or to travel to other places for the helping professions. I think this applies to many corners of your countries, even like that we still find people in small villages or towns who are too far away from the services and infrastructure of the big towns. So this can be a way how to involve certain people. Then the convenience, I think it was also mentioned that you eliminate certain travel-related hassles, but you also eliminate some costs because it can be cheaper. You don't need to rent a place. You don't need to travel. So it's very practical. And it also allows us to integrate coaching into busy lives of people. Simply clients are also coaches. Some of the people prefer online coaching just because of this reason, that the lifestyles are becoming so busy that people prefer to just click on the link and be online. And the last, but not least, it's opportunity to manage more clients in an efficient way. If you, or for example, have some online calendar where the people can sign for the sessions, it's much easier to manage the whole process. You just have the calendar, you share the link, and people can apply. And you can also include some digital tools for tracking the client progress. So you can work with some other applications. You can connect it to their procedures, to their rituals, and this digital environment offers us new opportunities. If we look at the challenges, so of course it was mentioned in the technical issues. The quality of the whole process is very much related to your technical competencies, to the competencies of the clients. You also need to have a good internet connection, and you have to be able to work with the new platforms, or you have to be able to teach it to the clients. I still remember. It's actually connected to Lorenzo. I don't know if he remembers or if he is aware, but during the COVID time, we were implementing together our first K2 project, which was called Coach. It was our first big project on coaching. We also did 3 phases trainings, and we started with all these activities that we are now doing also with you in a little bit advanced way. And it was lockdown, and I don't know how to do the things. And he called me and he said, you have to install Zoom, and you will use the Zoom for the online meetings. And I said, Lorenzo, what is Zoom? How to install it? I don't know. No, you have to learn it quickly. We will need it. We will have to move all the meetings into online environment. So I was sitting behind my computer. I still can see it. It was in my previous office. And I didn't know what to do. I was installing Zoom. Then I was learning how it's working. And then, since then, we only had the online meetings because of the lockdown. So we didn't have any other chance. And we all quite fast learned how to use it. So yes, it requires some technical competencies and requires also some openness. But as I already said, it is becoming a new normal, and it fits to the needs and requirements of coaches and clients. What is another big challenge, and you also mentioned it, is the reduced personal connection, that the lack of the physical presence may hinder the ability to pick up on subtle nonverbal signs. This was exactly mentioned. And yeah, it's much more difficult to read the emotions sometimes. Simply even the human brain, and we will discuss about this later, feels and perceives differently in a physical environment or online one. Building rapport and trust definitely can be more challenging, but there are ways how to do it. What can be also another challenge, and I think it was not mentioned, and it's good to be aware of it, is distraction in the client's environment. On one hand, as Luca said, the client can feel more safe in his environment, but at the same time, sometimes when they don't have any other option, they can be distracted in their homes, in their offices. It can be interruptions by the family or other members of the household or other members of, for example, the office. So it is really necessary to talk about this with the client, that it's needed to have safe and quiet space for having a good online session. And the next one, or the last one, adaptation requirements. This is the thing that was mentioned by Georgia, that simply us, the coaches, we need to adjust traditional methods to suit the online format. Sometimes it's quite difficult to transfer certain methods, or sometimes we even don't know how to do it. And also the clients may resist or feel very uncomfortable with the technology. So they don't know how to use it or for what purpose, how it can help them. So this would be the summary of the biggest challenges and benefits as described in different kind of resources, but also mostly experienced by you. Let me now ask you, and I will kindly ask Marcus to help me with counting, because once sharing, I don't see all the people. Who already has experience with online coaching? Who of you already uses online coaching as a way how to do it?
As you are sharing the screen, we cannot see anyone. So.
Okay. So I'll unshare it. Yeah.
Good, good. So then let's see. Yeah, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hands at least.
6 hands. And what about the others? Sorry, Marcus?
7. There was a last minute hand. Yeah.
Okay. So we have 7 hands out of 24 participants, which is like 1/3 of you, I would say. Okay. I am quite interested in those who didn't raise their hands. It means they didn't start yet. What are the reasons why you haven't started with online coaching, or why you haven't tried it? Who would like to share with us?
Katja, you have your hand raised, but I guess it's still about the previous question, no? Or do you want to share on this?
No, it's about the previous. Yeah, I tried online coaching. I'm doing it.
Okay. Do we have anybody here who haven't tried it yet to share the reason?
Maybe me, because I mentioned it before, because at first I don't like the online, like Zoom meetings, or I don't really like. But my clients are all from the almost, so I didn't have to. But I will have in the next weeks my first online coaching session with the client. She is now in Milan, so I have to. So I will try.
Okay, so you will have the first chance to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Then we will be very much interested in how you perceived it, how it went and everything. I would really love to know. Once you try it, I will be very happy if you will share them with me. But thank you, Roxy. Thank you. So on your side, there was no need so far because your clients are from your city and you still prefer the physical meetings. Yeah, I understand. If we look together as the main differences, how we can approach this, because I think this is quite good to know, to be aware of it, like where the differences come from, why is it, sorry, I somehow now paused the sharing and I don't know how I did it. Okay, it should be okay now.
Sharing for us.
Is it? Do you see it, Marcus?
Yes, you're sharing now. And before, Sotiris still had his hand raised also.
Okay. So maybe Soti, you can also share.
Sotiris, I saw your hand before. I don't know if you wanted to share also on the question. Now I don't see you anymore because we have the screen sharing.
No, I'm still studying. I'm in my last year of studying in university, so I still can't have any online or physical sessions with anyone.
Okay. So on your side, there's simply no opportunity so far.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I understand. Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's look at different kind of differences between the online and offline, how we can approach this, because I think this really plays an important role to be aware of it. So the first perspective we have here is the technical one. So the online, it really requires stable internet and technological equipment, which still can be a limit on the sides of the coaches or the clients. And as you already mentioned, it is really tragic sometimes when the connection is not working and you're still trying, like, do you hear me? Can you see me? I have to switch the camera off. Sorry, it's fallen out. So this is not a pleasant part, and it is really breaking the coaching session flow. So if you want to decide to do it online, please check your and also client side that the internet connection is stable and that the internet provided will be enough for the coaching session you would like to have. You are also dependent on the platform or the tool. It's good to adapt one of the tools that you know how to handle very well. Sometimes it can be very confusing if you are switching it, or if you have the different formats in different environments, then you don't know how to move in it. So it's good to know. And also there are some limits. I don't know what your experience is, but in mine, for example, there are some of the big companies or big institutions that do not allow, for example, usage of Zoom. We also have at our university or other institutions where I work for, they prefer other platforms for different reasons. So sometimes there are also limits that are done by the requirements from different sites. The resources are shared in a digital way. So this is something that was mentioned by Vasilis and also Georgia. If you want to use the online coaching, it's good to have the formats and the tools in a digital version, if it's possible. I don't know, like digital version of Dixit cards or digital version of other materials, digital version of different tools, so that you know how to use it. The interaction is screen-based, which is also good to understand how maybe you can use the screen in an interactive way, in a creative way, so that you can use it also. And on the other hand, what you can do, that you can record the sessions. This is actually something I experienced myself, because within my studies of MBA program, everything happens only online. And all the sessions, the coaching sessions, are recorded. And the coach, he always sends me the link with all the recording, with all the remarks and questions to the process of the session. So I can play it to myself anytime I want afterwards. With this can be quite a nice opportunity if it makes sense. So sometimes the recordings of online sessions can help as a further resource, both for the client and the coach. The emotional perspective. Let's look at this. This limited physical presence, of course, brings some of the factors. They are mentioned here. We don't have to read them one by one, but we can just choose the most important things that you already experienced. For example, this topic of the screen fatigue factor. I think you already might have experienced this, that when you are having too much online sessions, too much online space, that we are simply tired. The brain is tired, eyes are tired, concentration is going down, because it's simply not possible to follow everything in the online environment. So this screen fatigue factor can really play a role, and it's always good to understand, if I plan my coaching sessions, if I still can manage. What is also interesting topic, it is virtual emotional attunement, like how to connect to the person emotionally without seeing all the signs of the emotions of the person. But now let me ask you, some of you who already experienced online coaching, how do you do it? How do you work with emotions of your clients when you have online coaching? Vasilis, you mentioned that you already have had several sessions online. How do you do it? How do you deal with this emotional perspective?
Yeah, I have an experience with a client with online coaching. I mostly check the eye contact, and when my client look at me, I understand how he feels that moment, and when moves the head or look in the corner or somewhere else, or start, for example, touching something, a thing, he spent anything. It's a sign for me to understand that it's emotionally, it's a moment I have to take care and to work with this behavior with my client.
Okay, so you are basically doing a very similar thing like to offline coaching. You are observing the nonverbal communication. You are observing the movement of the eyes, and from this you are gaining the information you need for the process.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. What about the others, Philip? How do you do it in online?
The same as was said already by Vasilis and you, and it's very similar to offline. Like usually I cannot mirror that much because I don't see the whole body, so the body language is sometimes tricky. But when there is an emotion or emotion reaction, I give space. And I also validate that it's okay to feel an emotion. Like I had a client that was crying and she had this, how to say it, like not an attack of crying, but she was really
Yes.
catching her breath. But I just named that I'm here so she could hear me because she was not seeing me. She had her head down and I was waiting. And also I said that if she needs anything else that I'm here. So just reminding her that she's not there alone and giving enough space.
Thank you, Philip. Yes, thank you so much. Is there anybody here who experienced coaching, being a client in online process, feeling emotions?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Marushko, can you share with us, like, what was it like for you?
It was great. Like from the point of view that I didn't have to travel to Prague like 2 hours by train. So all these technical barriers or logistical were out of consideration. But from this emotional part, it was, for me, it was kind of disturbing that I really had to look at the coach all the time. I had him in front of me, and it made me concentrate also on my own face, which is on the screen, which is, okay. I don't like seeing myself there. It is that I really have to concentrate on something else, that what I would like to express actually. So this was one negative thing, but other things, we were really great. My coach is great. We had like 5 sessions in the last 2 months because it is so easy to access him. So I see really great benefits.
Thank you, Marushko. Still, can you please hold on for a while? I would like to use this opportunity of having you here. And did it happen to you that you had some strong emotions?
Yes, very strong. I really was crying. I was so much crying. So I really was able to have these emotions because I really need to talk to someone about my life that was not, or my previous projects that actually were stolen in the past by a big corporation or something. And it was in my heart like for the last 12 years. And now I had the opportunity to really put these emotions out of myself. And he was actually surprised of me that I was really so easy to access, that I was really able to open myself so quickly to him, that I had this I don't know, attitude of really sharing, because if I didn't want to, or I wouldn't do it. So he was really, I was able to express my emotions, and I'm grateful because it was helpful, very helpful.
Would you remember what helped you from his side, even if it was online? What helped you to feel safe and having these emotions even in online format?
Because I had one previous session with him, And this was important because I'm Christian, and I saw that in his background there was one Christian picture. So I thought that there might be something we have in common, and that his values might be or my values can be understood by him. So we have something in common. So that was one thing that I really had some trust to him, and I saw him in a previous coaching session, like in a different project.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So you basically build a trust, which was in this case based on symbols that represent your values, and it gave you this feeling of safety. Perfect. Thank you so much. Are you doing a dinner for your children?
Yeah, I actually made them, and they are playing and training for their class tests. So yeah, I need to go there again.
Sure.
Control.
Sure. Marushka has 5 children too, so we have a lot of things to share. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else with this experience of being a client, in a role of client and expressing strong emotions in an online form? Because it can be very helpful to all of us, to hear it. Like, what was helpful in the process?
Lutska is raising her hand.
Lucy, perfect. Wonderful.
May I share?
I wasn't. Wait, you said Luca or Lucia?
You, Lucy. Lutska.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was playing with my hair. I'm sorry.
Ah, okay.
Sorry.
Then Andrea, I guess you were not playing.
Andrea wanted to share.
May I share? I was a client, but from psychotherapy's online session, and maybe can be relevant. So I shared that I had my first 10 session online, and when I met her for the first time in presence, I just sat down, like I just sat and silence, start to crying, and the first 10 minutes were all this process to I don't know the English word, but when you smoke out something with silence and with crying. So maybe I was that client that block somehow the emotion expression online, maybe.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else has this experience of being a client in an online helping process, so that we can share what helped you to feel safe, to express strong emotions, even in online format? Okay. It seems like, Luca.
So in my experience, they were like, I did some coaching sessions online as a client with some of the people present here today. And I didn't really need to express strong emotions, but I do feel that the online tool wasn't really changing anything. Like, emotions for me are about the person that I have in front of me, not necessarily through physical or online meanings.
Okay.
So I think even if it's online, it's still about the person and the rapport that you build. Of course, it can be harder to build it online, but for me, it wasn't that hard. But I understand that it can be.
Yeah, sure.
And so, for example, with my client online, it took some time to build rapport. Like a couple of sessions more than with the offline one.
Yeah, it can take longer time. Yeah, depends on the situation. Perfect. Luca, thank you so much for sharing this. Let's look at the differences from other perspective, which is human brain. What it means for the human brain. Definitely online format means a higher cognitive load because there are so many other things that need to be processed by our brain. And at the same time, key information for our brain that are related to the physical presence are missing in the process. That's why there is much higher cognitive load, which definitely leads to the screen fatigue. And as we already said, if it's too much, then the concentration gets much lower. It is very demanding for our brain to process the digital signals because there is really lacking of this physical presence and connection, which is very nicely said as aura reading by Georgia. The attention and concentration related to the screen is different. It goes in different waves. You need more time off to get back to a certain level of concentration again. Also, you have to be able to monitor by multiple channels. You have to read the signals and signs in many different ways. Also, what is needed is the digital multitasking because now we are having webinar and I can just focus on my Canva presentation, but I have Marcus at the back and he is taking care of all the technical processes. But once you're doing your online coaching, you have in hands really everything, like the technical side, sharing the tools, having the new license of everything, guiding the client to do things. So it really requires much more from your brain than just to focus on the coaching flow. So these are the biggest differences. I would not necessarily say only challenges, but differences that if we take into consideration, we can prepare in a very good way. There is another perspective also, which is sensorial, how our senses react. It very much depends on if we prefer visual or audio information to process, or the kinesthetic connected to the physical movements. This can be very limiting for some people. Also, this reduced spatial awareness, because when you have the people sitting next to each other and seeing only the either artificial background or some one corner of the room, it also brings different inputs for our senses, which makes it more complicated sometimes to process it. So this is another perspective how we can approach this. And now you will have a chance again to work not necessarily in pairs, but very small groups. And then after that, you go immediately to the break. So have your time now, and then you have the break, and after break we can come back. And the topic for your short discussion will be: what are your current skills or coaching skills, coaching competencies that can help you manage online coaching sessions in an efficient way? So if you look at the portfolio of your current skills in coaching that you have, which of them can help you manage online coaching sessions? Because the next topic after the break, we will deal with the core competencies for the virtual coaching, what you need to know and what you need to be able to do as coaches to be able to run efficient coaching sessions. Roxy, are you having the hand raised, or it's from the previous part?
Yes, I just want to ask, because I'm on the two devices, my laptop and my phone, because of the my earplugs. Or it's maybe a question for Marcus, because in the previous small groups, I was in two groups. I think it's made automatically. Can you manage this?
Yeah, I saw it before, and now I will put you in the same group with both devices. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, super.
Perfect. So now it's 10 to 5, 10 to 6. Let's have the small discussion for 10 minutes till 6, and then we meet here at 6:15.
Good.
And is everybody back? It seems like that, right?
So if you're back, we invite you also to turn on the camera. So if you're back, if that's okay. And other than that, what's happening now, Titus?
Yes. Now I would like to kindly ask you if you can all write to the chat, like at least one competence, coaching skill that you somehow discovered you had that might be helpful now in the topic of online coaching. So if you can all just write one skill, one coaching skill that you are having now that you might find helpful in coaching in online format. Good Wi-Fi. It's a very good skill. Andrea, how do you do it?
Do you emit Wi-Fi, Andrea? Do you have this inbuilt?
Yes, he emits Wi-Fi, yes. Building rapport. Silence. Huh? Perfect. Self-awareness. Thank you, Yanka. Timekeeping, yes, Elle, also very good. Active listening, always helpful. Good eye contact and ask right questions, yes. Patience. In online format, yes, I highly recommend it. Can bring, as we already said, many new situations which require our patience. Also patience from Christina's side. Thank you, Christy, for contributing. Perfect. Focus. Thank you, Fatia, for focus. Being multitasking, for sure. Yes, Georgia, thank you so much. Open the folder with notes. You can do it, Vasilis, that's perfect. Okay, thank you very much for giving us examples of the coaching skills you currently have that you can use in online formats too. Let me now share with you 4 competencies that are required in online formats. There are specific competencies that we need to develop if we want to deliver good online coaching sessions. And let me now not fail in my digital skills because I can't find the Canva slides now. Okay, now let's see. Yes, now it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked. You just need to go to presentation mode. But
Yeah,
super.
Perfect. So the first out of the 4 core competencies for virtual environments coach is that we are able to create the virtual presence. We discussed this, that it can be one of the challenges, but what is a skill of creating virtual presence? It's simply our skill or ability to project authentic professional energy and focused attention through digital channels while still maintaining a consistently engaging and well-curated virtual environment. Simply, what we need to create is this energy for the client and also for us that we are being there despite the physical distance. So this is the competence of creating the virtual presence. How can we do it? Who would like to share some ideas? How can we do it? How can we create the virtual presence? What can be helpful for this competence? Who has ideas? I will stop sharing for a while so that we see the raised hands. What do you think? How can we create or develop the competence of the virtual presence? Who has experience? Who has ideas to share? What might be useful to do? who has experience.
Maybe I can start.
Yes, sure, Marushka, perfect.
I think that it always starts well if I am accurate. So if I am really on time, if we said that I'll be there, that I am really there, and if the client is not there, then I understand that he can have some technical problems. So I can really ask and start with small talk. Don't go to hard topics very quickly, but it is natural. So really being on time and then really start talking about things like in a normal conversation. So what the last week was about, and not just really start with the therapy or I don't know this session. This is helpful. It's just the start.
Sure, perfect. It really starts with our responsibility to be there, not on time, but preferably before it, so that when the client comes, we are already there, and we are starting with a small talk, like refreshing exactly, like easier topics, then immediately jumping into the process of the coaching flow. So we are asking how you are doing. Like Marcus asked the question, what were the good things in 2025 so far? So you start slowly having like normal conversation, maybe recalling some of the things from your last session, just to go slowly into the common process. Yes, Georgia.
Maybe it would help since we will be in contact with our client to mention before we meet that it's important to find a place that she would feel nice and comfortable wherever this place is, but to have Wi-Fi there. So since the client decide maybe to go to the sea, to the mountain, to the cellar, wherever he or she wants, so it would be even more easy for him or her to be chiller, let's say. And also to when we will have this call, first to have I don't know how to describe it in English, but to have like a room tour, for example, to see the place that we both are. So to see that, yes, look, this is my place, this is your place, I am alone, you are alone. Very nice, and we can start describe or talk a little bit about this place. What do you see there, in order to break the ice and also feel she's her place closer to me, because it's important also for me to feel close, not just for my client. And also the same will happen for my client's version. So I will also feel that I am closer to her environment. So later I can continue building the rapport.
Perfect. So also to pick some details that you can see either from the artificial background or from the real background. You can be curious about things, you can ask, show your interest, basically.
Exactly, because we need to start and discuss something and feel a bit closer.
Yeah, perfect. So to show up on time, not to jump immediately in the hard work and process, to somehow start with some softer topics, maybe picking some details, showing simply interest in what I see, in what I noticed. Yes, perfect. Any more ideas you have how we can work on the competence of creating the virtual presence? Georgia, you want to add anything? No, it looked like you're switching the microphone. Yeah. Any more ideas you have how to enhance this ability of creating the virtual presence, that we are really there? Any more ideas from your perspective of a coach, from your perspective of a client, if you experience it ever? What helped you being a client once online to feel that the coach is virtually there, present there with you? Any more ideas? Luca.
I mean, it probably has been said already, or it's something obvious, but with my experience, both as a client and as a coach, having a good internet connection is fundamental. because, for example, when I am speaking about something and analyzing a thought, a behavior, or something like that, if the internet connection is not good, the communication gets lost. And so I have to start again. And that somehow interrupts my train of thoughts.
Yes, perfect.
And so I think all of the other things that are being said are fundamental, of course. I don't necessarily share the importance of what has been said up until now, but the internet connection must be good because it's the line connecting the coach and the coachee, and if the line gets interrupted, that's the problem. The presence is not there, basically. So I would say that the most fundamental things that one should be worried about is maintaining the connection. For example, even doing it without the video. If it improves the connection, you can do it without video. But the person must feel as if I am always listening. Even if I am not in video, if the person cannot see me, but the person and also I as a coachee need to feel that the connection is present, even if I can't see you.
Yeah.
But if the connection gets interrupted and you cannot hear me, or you get lost in the middle and you ask, can you repeat that? I lost the connection. That is not good, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Luca. Yeah, that's the basic line. Like the good connection, I mean, the technical one is really the basic for everything else. Because once exactly you start losing the signal, still repeating questions, repeating what you heard, this is really breaking the line. This is really breaking the connection. So it starts with the technical connection and also your technical competencies and multitasking to really handle all the things in the platform that you're using, and then everything else that was mentioned by you. Let's look at Vasilis and
That
Roxy.
was Roxy and then Vasilis.
Yeah, I have like two things. If I'm here like in online, I see that we can see like the upper side of our body. So maybe raising our hands and trying to make some things with hands to make this connection like with the moving, because as our brain are connecting with moving or being this presence. And the second thing, to really working with our voice, with lowering like the tone of our voice, because I just saw some videos with the voice coach, and I think that really can help to asking questions like slowly and raising voice and make this question mark like upper. So keep in touch our client with not only in the visual but in the voice connection.
Thank you, Roxy, for sharing this. You will see in a few minutes that what you described are actually roots of other core competencies, but they are all interconnected. So that's perfect. You're mentioning it here now. Thank you so much. And Vasilis.
Yeah, something I would like to add, maybe it's a detail, but for me it helped me create the virtual presence. It was the fact that I was prepared for the material and didn't lose time to find the presentation or open something on Canva or find something, a file. And also when once I need from my client to have a paper and a pen to write something, I had informed him from the beginning, so he knows what will happen in the continue, and don't feel the sense that he lost something in case he didn't have a pen or a pencil. So
perfect. So also your preparation, like
Yeah.
when you want to go coaching online, it's good to be prepared. in a much more, let's say, detailed way. And being prepared makes you definitely virtually present. And it's also taking care of our own needs, like knowing that we have the water with us, going to the toilet preferably before.
Toilet.
Yeah, these are small things, but it sometimes happens. Like, give me 1 minute, I'll go to toilet. Give me 1 minute, I'll just bring the water. And these are small things, but they are really disturbing the whole process, the whole flow. So it's about being prepared in terms of the technical competencies and also tools, but also prepared for having 1 hour of full focus on what's going on behind the screen, not my needs, which should be taken care of in advance. Yeah. Thank you very much. We can move, I think, to another virtual competence or competence for a virtual coaching, which is also something that has been mentioned, building rapport online. Of course, first, the person must feel that we are virtually present with them, and then only then we can think of how to build rapport. So what is it, building rapport online? It's a skill showing that we can establish and maintain meaningful connections in virtual space through intentional digital engagement techniques, active listening signals, and consistent trust-building practices that overcome the limitations of screen-based interactions. We already spoke about it. We spoke about the limits that the screen is bringing to the process. Here we have some of the tools mentioned, like active listening signals, maybe some digital engagement techniques, also trust-building processes. Let's discuss also here, like, what can we do? What do you think? How can we build the rapport in online environment? What can we do to build the rapport? What can we do to read the aura? What can we do to feel the connection? How can we do it? What do you think? I will again stop sharing so that we can see the hands. How would you do it? Or what did you do? Or what helped you being a client to build the rapport? We already heard something from Marushka that what helped her were the symbols of the similar values that helped her to feel safe, but not always. You can represent your values by symbols. What do you think? How can we do this? Who has suggestion, idea, experience to share? Vasilis, you want to say something? Yes?
Yeah, it's very technical, but and maybe boring, but it's very important to have a clear view of the person. And for me personally, it helps me from my experience to have close his face and understand, so I can understand expressions, movement, and how he feels. So I built later the rapport with the traditional way as we know. So observe and look better my client.
Perfect. Yeah, but it starts with the physical appearance, like what you see from the screen, so that you can follow it, you can observe it, you can also mirror it in certain way. Thank you, Vasilis. Perfect. What else can we do to build the rapport? Or even if you don't have experience, just the ideas you might have, how we can enhance the rapport. Yanka.
Sharing a bit of myself.
Yes.
For example, when I asked a similar question like, oh, what was the great thing about your day today? Then I would also share mine. That mine was that I managed to exercise today, and I'm really happy about it, right? And also to show emotion and sometimes also humor in the right place. It has to be a right place. It also builds rapport.
Definitely. We can use humor even in online format for sure, and perfect what you say, like not to be scared to share a little bit of me, to not only ask questions, but also share a bit pieces of me just to show, look, I'm also a human being. And Georgia was out for some reason.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
take care. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, perfect, perfect. Yeah, because it's also jumping here in the middle of the screen. That's why I commented. Sorry, I know it's your job, Marcus, and you do it perfectly. Yes, so to share a bit about me too, not to be afraid to show up as a human being. Perfect, Bianca, thank you so much. What else? How else we can build a rapport in online format? What do you think? What you might try to do? Any more experiences maybe you have from your own practice in a role of coach, in a role of... Bianca, you want to add something?
Yeah, like what worked with me was also like from the first session, let's say, I remembered or I had a note of something the client said, and when I noticed that there would be a time to ask about it, I asked like, oh, and the last thing what you mentioned, how is it now? Like, you know, I brought the previous information to the session so the person could feel that that I am aware of all the things and that I listen well what the person says, and I
Yeah.
also react on it and
Perfect.
explain it. Yeah.
So to listen well to the person and again to pick up and remember certain things, information, details, or something that can be used later in conversation. So then there is this continuity. Yeah. The things we are mentioning are very typical even for building rapport. Not only in the online format. In online format, we maybe have to be more aware of it because some of the things are happening more naturally in the physical environment when you are meeting offline with the client. Many things happen in a very spontaneous way, like reacting to each other, physically mirroring, maybe some kind of smiles of humor come very natural. In here, in the online format, we have to be intentional about it. So we have to pay a special attention to these small signals to remember, to be more aware of the details, to maybe really write the notes down. What I also usually do is that I ask the client how he or she feels in this online format, like what he or she likes about it, what exactly I start when we meet for the first time, how we started today, like what benefits or what challenges might appear, so that we somehow, get to this note of, okay, we are meeting virtually and we are both aware of the challenges and opportunities. So let's learn from it both. Let's support each other. Sometimes it happens, or most of the times, that the clients feel better in online environment than me, because I personally prefer offline settings, but most of my clients prefer online. So basically, today my coaching is 99% online. The people want to meet online, and it is exactly as I said. It fits their busy lifestyle. Of course, it's different target group than you have in the project. I don't have majority of youngsters or young people with special needs, but in my coaching practice, 99% of coaching is happening online, and the people prefer it. They see more opportunities than challenges. But building rapport in this environment means to be a little bit more aware of these small things that happen more naturally in offline setting. Let's look at another competence that is needed in online environment. And Roxy, here we come. What you mentioned, digital body language. Okay, and also it was mentioned by Luca. I think it was Luca who mentioned it, and also Vasilis. Like, what is digital body language? It's a mastery of intentional. And again, what happens quite spontaneously in offline setting, in online, it has to be more aware and intentional nonverbal communication through the screen, including strategic use of facial expressions, gestures, so that you somehow imitate the reality of offline setting. Also posture, so what you see from which angle, how much of the body of yours is seen, how much of the body of the client is seen. Sometimes it's very much defined by the real opportunities or logistical opportunities on the client side. Also the eye contact Of course, it's different in the screen, but there is, of course, a way how to keep the eye contact and also attention. So again, it's more about being more conscious. What experience do you have with this digital body language? Do you have anything to share with others? What to do, what not to do when it comes to digital body language?
Maybe you stop sharing again and we see the people.
Yes, sorry, Marcus.
All good.
Luca, raise the hand. Luca.
Okay, so I think the online tools in this case can be useful because while you look at the other person, you also have a little frame of your face at the same time. And so you can more easily gauge what kind of signals you are sending.
Mm-hmm.
And also being able to control the frame of how the client perceives you, because in presence it's something that you cannot do, of course, because it's all of you, because the client can see everything. But the ability to control what goes into the frame and how you position yourself into the frame, it's quite powerful, I think. And also but obviously with great powers can come great possibilities to make some mistakes. And so the focus of the client is solely on your face, because the screen draws attention to your face and what it's doing. And so it's much more important to keep focus on your client. Even, for example, saying to the client before the session starts, be aware that I'm going to take notes. So if I'm looking somewhere else, it's because I'm taking notes. Because if the client doesn't know, it's a very easy way for the client to feel not listened to.
Yeah. This is a very, very practical thing, Luca, and thank you for sharing this. I am always doing it also, like I say, that I am having a diary here and I am taking the notes. Of course, I do it in the first session because then the clients already know that I am making the notes, and then I have their own personal diaries, basically, because everything is written down in my notebook. But yeah, it's a very good to say I am writing down the notes, because then it is obvious what you're doing behind the screen. It could be interpreted in a wrong way. You are very right. Yeah.
Yes, because it's through the screen is very easy to miss the cues.
Yeah.
And it's also easy for the clients to miss the cues that you are giving. And so being able to completely control the frame that you are in, it's important. I mean, it can be very useful. It can also be very dangerous. Or it's more easily to be misinterpreted.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you for sharing. Do you have experiences of using some of the tools that require moving in the space in online format? Like reverse timeline or something that you need to have a space around you, so it's not like sitting in front of the screen, using other tools that requires movements. Do you have any experiences, some of you? No, it seems like not. How would you approach it? What do you think? How could we approach it? What are the limits, or what could be the limits in your head of using these tools or methods that require moving in the space?
I think I will manage this with because now I'm on my laptop, so it's like more static. And if I can do my coaching session with my phone, which I obviously prefer, so I can go and switch the camera and like moving and like from the reverse timeline or whatever, like making steps, like going from this frame to this frame and like pretending this movement for the client, like to see the movement or experience the movement.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Roxy, for sharing idea how we could do it. What else do you think we could do? Like, what are the requirements or how? Can you imagine doing it? Can you imagine doing, for example, a reverse timeline or body metaphor? Body metaphor through online format? Roxy nods her head that she can imagine. What about the
Yes.
others?
I just want to mention some of my clients said me in the previous session that she made an online session with with the yoga session with her mentor, and there were like far from the camera to see the whole body and see the whole movement, and it worked. It worked well for her. So I think the clients, especially younger clients than me, they can do everything online. So I think it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I have experience, I think, with basically all coaching tools online, even body metaphor, even reverse timeline. I mean, it really doesn't differ that much from the normal offline setting. You're sitting, of course, you as a coach, you're sitting behind the screen. What is required is more to have a space on the client side. So when I know that we will need more space, because I can see from the process and the flow of the coaching process that next time maybe we could do the body metaphor or something like that, I usually ask if it's possible to have a space around them the next time so that I know that they can prepare. And then it's more about them doing what you say. You don't have to necessarily be there. You don't have to necessarily observe every single movement. It's that you are talking, the client is sharing. Sometimes it's even better because then the client needs to describe it even more. So you don't make any assumptions because you only work what the client says. So sometimes it's very practical. Like, of course, they put you somewhere so that you can see something, but for the body metaphor, sometimes when they go down, for example, you don't see it. So it basically requires to hear even more from the client than what you would observe and make assumptions. So I would like to encourage you to test it. It is really more requirement of the space on the client side, I mean the physical space, not necessarily your physical presence with the client there. So try it if you have a chance. Take it as a learning experience to experiment how it can work and how you can do it. Because what we discussed many times together, there will be, this is our inside joke, of course, so people who didn't experience us could understand it in the wrong way, but we already know that we don't matter as the coaches. So what matters is the client and it's his process. So when you tell the client, find the body metaphor that represents the current situation that you are in now, for example, it's about the client's word. He's dealing with his own body, with his own emotions, with his own understanding. He really doesn't care if you are sitting there or behind the screen. It's about his or her own process. So it's about the client and his inner world. Roxy, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to add some well, small little that we can use this opportunity to ask the client to really try to express in the words what they feel, what do they feel about the body metaphor, or asking where do you feel they like to show me, because that can enhance their self-awareness about their body. So I think it can be a right tool.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you. Georgia, I can also see your hand. Is it relevant or is a previous hand?
Yes, no, it's for now. Talking in the same, let's say, level or content of what we are saying, I would try Also to do in an online session something related to the eco coaching, especially if I know that I would never see this client in person. So at least from not trying at all, and this is what I tried to do, but finally we meet in person together, so we didn't do online. For the next time or the one of the next times in general, I would ask if there is any natural place around or that he or she can go. And at the same time, either I would also try to go and at the same time some in a park or in a valley or wherever. Or if my client is not able to do it, I would do it. I would go and I would try to pass through screen at least this vibe and do some stuff about, can you listen something of where I am, or can you see what would you observe? But I'm not very sure how effective would be, but at least to give a try to see how my client would feel and if finds any interest on that, in order to have some extra input for next sessions to talk or to see.
Thank you, Georgia. Yes, it's interesting combination of the eco coaching tools and online. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea to think of it this way. Marcus, did you raise your hand?
Yes, and I know I'm just facilitating here a technical one, but do you mind if I add one thought to this?
Of course not.
Okay, super. Thank you, Dita. No, what I wanted to say is that online coaching does not always mean laptop. So it can also be mobile phone, and you can use this advantage. So what I did in the past, for instance, with groups, but also one-on-one settings, is to use the phone so that, for instance, client can lie down while I make a guided visualization, or we do a walk and talk. We walk through a forest in different parts, but client also walks through forest and we use nature. The other thing that I wanted to say is that if it's just about positioning and scaling and not necessarily the physical experience of it, you can also simply ask the client to imagine to be on a scale and put the number in the chat, or use visuals. Make a whiteboard where you make a timeline and the client can position an avatar. You can even play with this, the symbol the client chooses, etc., and position the avatar along the timeline or in an image to express something. So it can also be a metaphor of the body that's visualized. So that's again then an advantage of the online setting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect, Marcus. Thank you so much for sharing this practical experience. Yes, for sure. We can do this walking and talking with the phones. Of course, again, it would require even different competencies sometimes, because then you even don't see each other. So it is different simply, but it is becoming more and more frequent, I would say. Even at our university, I can see it, that there is this hunger on the side of the students to have this walking coaching also in this online format, walking and talking. And exactly, many times I did the guided visualization with the client with my phone, that the client is sitting or lying and you're just guiding them with the voice. So there are many options how you can use this. It's about trying it and seeing what it can bring, and being, as I said, more intentional and more aware of the differences. Because if you are more aware of it, of the factors that do not happen that spontaneously, then there is a better chance that you will do it in a quality way. We have the last competence now, and it was also mentioned by Roxy in her contribution, and it's this voice and tone management. So to be aware of the voice, to be aware of the distance from the camera, to be aware of how you modulate the voice, how you, when you go up, when you go down, speak slower, also maybe articulate more, to be able that the message is really being delivered. And you have to be prepared to compensate the absence of the physical presence by the optimal audio quality in the digital environment. So to be sure that you have a good microphone, that you have a good connection, as was already mentioned, so that the words are not lost in the process of delivering it. So to be aware of the voice, to be aware of how loudly I speak, what pauses I am making. It is tricky sometimes in online environment because sometimes you know that there are some of the videos are prolonged maybe. So sometimes it's difficult to really see if the client is already quiet or not yet. So it requires really a bigger attention from your side. It's not again that easy as in the physical settings because maybe sometimes the client wants to start speaking again, but there is this small delay in the video, so you are not sure. So you have to be like making more efforts in asking or encouraging the person or making maybe little bigger pauses to make sure that on both sides the situation is clear. Okay, we are coming to the end of today's session, which was opening to the topic of the virtual coaching competencies. We will continue on Wednesday and we will deal more with the technical aspect. So how to settle the presence behind the camera from the technical point of view. We will speak about some technical details. You will practice it. And we will also practice some of the tools in online coaching sessions. And then we will share it and discuss it. And we will also have a time for your questions about it. So that you know what you can expect. But in the meanwhile, before we meet on Wednesday, we have a very, very small homework for you to reflect and write down answer of the question, how can I personally, so there can be many ways, different, depending on your different personalities, how can I personally enhance my virtual empathy? What I can do for my virtual empathy, for connection for the person. And for this, we prepared a special space. Markus, can you please introduce it?
I see many of you already there. We prepared a Canva board with this exact same question that Dita shared. And you can simply take any of the prepared post-its there to write your answer there. So we review it on Wednesday. I encourage you to copy this link that we just posted in the chat. That's the Canva board. But we will also send it by email to all of you and put it also in the chat group for those of you who are long-term participants. It's basically this question that Dita presented and some sticky notes for you to write your answer.
Yeah. And when we meet on Wednesday, when we start, we will start with sharing. So we will look at the board and we will see concrete tips and ideas how we can all enhance our virtual empathy. So you can reflect, you can think of it, you can reflect the differences, what we discussed today, what we heard from your own experiences, and you can really be as concrete as possible. How can I really do it in a very, very practical steps? It can be one thing, two things, three things, but very concrete things. Like don't stay with abstract quotations. Just go into the very details. What are typical steps we can do to enhance our virtual empathy?
And as Luca said today, with great power comes great potential for mistakes. So this whiteboard is editable by all of you, so you all can write your answers. So don't sabotage it for the others.
Exactly. Don't sabotage it and make the opportunity of it for all of us here. Yes, and now it's 7:01, which means that for today, the webinar is coming to its end. Roxy, you want to say something?
Yes, I just had this small digital problem that I have my wireless earplugs, and the wireless means they outrun of the battery. So in the next sessions, like to be aware that some of these like 2-hour session can be like not use this, maybe some the cable one. From my experience.
Thank you so much. Very practical advice. That's true. Thank you, Roxy. Yeah. And we are going to see each other soon in 2 days. We will continue with the topic. And as I said, we will dive more deeply into the technical aspect so that we really gain some practical information how to handle it. And we will have a real chance to practice some of the tools in online format. That was so great to see you. Thank you again for your presence here. I am also so happy that we are already having people from 21st century and history. It was so nice when Vasily said, "Hi, I am Vasilis. I am from the 21st century program and process." So it was so great to see the faces of all known and also unknown people. We are grateful for your presence and your interest in coaching this time in online formats. And thank you so much, Marcus, for hosting this, having my back as always, and preparing everything technically in a smooth and perfect way for everybody.
And we share with all of you the recording. After the second webinar, we will combine both webinars into one recording and share with you recording, slides, and summary as PDF. Then we hope to see many of you on Wednesday in 2 days, same time, 4:30 Central European Time. You need to register with the other link. It's another link, it's another meeting. We will send a reminder anyway.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday.
Like it happened now, what if we can't register beforehand? Because, like, for example, for me and for other 2 people in the Greek team, as far as I know, we couldn't open the link, and
Yes.
I updated both devices, laptop and phone, many times, and it still couldn't. So I just got the ID meeting, like I said.
Yeah. I will tell you what we do. It's important for us that people register, so we have the evidence, and we will share the direct link very shortly before the meeting so that people use the registration because it worked for everybody except for 2 or 3 people. And then we share the link very shortly before the meeting.
So now do you have our, like, how you said it, the confirmation that we've been here?
Yes, from a screenshot. It's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
so
no,
much.
that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so you need to get it from Praxis, yeah, because I think you're not in the WhatsApp group, but so we will share it again. And I think today Georgia took care of, or maybe Anna took care of forwarding the direct link. Great. And feel free to unmute your mic to say ciao to us so we hear your lovely voice at last time.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Yeah.
Ciao, nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Good.
Ciao.
Bye.
Maria.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao, Maria.
Oh, ciao, Tita.
I know it's a bit unpolite to tell people unmute so you say ciao. But
Bye bye. Bye.
ciao, Georgia.
Bye bye, Georgia.
Napkin girl.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you all so much. See you soon. Bye.
Luca, bye. Ciao. Thank you for opening. Thank you for opening the webinar, the second part of it. It's great to see you all again. Really amazing opportunity for all of us to meet again virtually, but still, as we said last time, better than nothing. And I still believe this. We will today continue, and as I already said, we will have a more hands-on webinar today so that you can experience some things yourself, and then we can somehow reflect your experience to gain as much as possible from this experience. Before we start, I would kindly ask you, Marcus, to broadcast us the homework. I would like to thank everybody who contributed, because I think there are really nice and relevant information. Maybe we can check it together, use this as a resource for you too. You can check what other people wrote, because there can be different ideas that you might not have yourself. Marcus, you will also share it, or shall we open it from the chat?
No, I just shared the link just in case. If
Okay.
someone still wants to add. And now I'm sharing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. So the question was how you can personally, in a very concrete way, contribute to the development of your virtual empathy skill. This was the question, and let's go through the answers. Let's go through what you wrote here. So I cannot with my head, yes, non-verbally create the virtual presence. I can keep the eye contact through the web camera, But of course, be careful with looking at camera, not on screen. That's one thing. And also about this eye contact, at least those who participated in our offline trainings, you know that eye contact has certain limits. And when the person is thinking, usually doesn't keep the eye contact. So you can also see it on the screen that when person is doing like this with the eyes, it means I'm thinking, don't disturb me. Once I come back to the camera, it's a clear sign for you, you can proceed with the process. Thank you for this contribution. Listen actively and make them know you listened. For example, summarizing or coming back with some reference to the previous conversations, as we can see at some of other stickers. Asking thoughtful questions, yes, that's always helpful. That helps the process, even in online coaching format. I can show the real interest in what the person has been through and reassure him or her that I will be there as much time as needed. I can also start meaningful conversations about topics and activities that interest the person. Exactly, Sati, a wonderful idea how to show the interest, how to create the virtual empathy. Just show the genuine interest. And how will you do it? By mentioning things that matter to the person. That's perfect. About the time, I think it's helpful if you agree on the time that you dedicate to the coaching session, that it's not really about as much time as you need. It's more about how efficiently we can use the common time for the benefit of you being a client. And as I already said, like Maria wrote, what we can do, we can make a reference to previous conversation to show that you remember small details about the live and also follow up or goals from the previous sessions so that you see, so that the client see there is the continuity. You remember that you are really, again, showing genuine interest. From Roxy, by using right gestures, being aware about the voice tone, this is what we discussed. Yes, also in the virtual space, maybe we speak a little bit slower. We are more aware of how to use the voice. We cannot with the head. Perfect. Exactly. Eye contact, but not staring like this. Summarizing and optimal warm light. Perfect. This is a technical part of it. If you know how to do it, if you can arrange it, that's perfect. Okay. So this is from this side. Then we have another sticker here. Personally, I would adapt as much as possible what the other person feels more comfortable with. For example, we could do sessions in the digital app the client has more experience with. Yes, so adapt the whole format to the client's needs or level of experience. Also, we can change the topics if the person is not comfortable. Yeah, this very much depends on the client's needs and goals. If the person comes with a goal and then changes the idea, of course, you go with the flow, you go with the needs of the client. Perfect. Thank you so much, Rafaela. I would show empathy by eye contact, facial expressions, mirroring. Yes, Bianca, we can do this also in the virtual space. I was thinking of this yesterday and also today when I had 2 online meetings, and I was really much more aware of tiny details after our webinars, just to be more maybe sensitive to the things to share with you today. So yes, you can also mirror for sure. You can also name emotions that you can notice. As we said on Monday, it can feel a little bit different, but still you can notice things and still you can mention them. I would also use it when we talk about certain situations which might bring emotions later on, and use the summary, of course. By doing follow-up in the beginning of what was mentioned in the last session, yes, this is the continuity, using thoughtfully and respectively some emojis, that's perfect, yes, or GIFs instead of facial affirmations, for example. That's perfect idea, Georgia, yeah. This requires a little bit more of multitasking, yes, let's agree on this, that you need to follow the process and also be aware of the emojis or GIFs. Maybe you have to have them somehow prepared or something, but if you can manage this technically, logistically, mentally, that's a perfect thing that can really help with the whole process going on. And be careful and mindful with the voice tone. Perfect, yes. Be on time, perfect. This is what we discussed yesterday, just to show up on time or preferably before. Start with a smile, perfect. It always helps. I am present. Don't multitask. Depends on, well, you always multitask a little bit when you're in online, but yes, don't over multitask, I would say. Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Lena, so much. Thank you for participating. It's great to see you today, even in this second project. Yes, and I think, yes, enhance virtual empathy by creating warm, distraction-free space. It also helps, exactly this distraction-free as we discussed, and engaging with eye contact, smiles, and small nods. Yeah, so I am here, I am listening, I hear what you say. Actively listen, reflect what you see in terms of emotions, speak calmly, allow pauses. Wonderful. Yeah, the work with the silence, we discussed many times. Don't be afraid of the silence, use it. In environment of online coaching, it's sometimes different because sometimes the pauses are a little bit artificial due to the technological transfer of the signal, but still don't be afraid of it. Use the silence as the powerful tool. Use empathetic statements, yes, and ensure enable and stable technical setup and Wi-Fi for sure, yes. Thank you, Anna. Now we have Christina, I guess. No, we have Rebecca. I can read the Greek alphabet, that's perfect. Papadopo, something like that. I don't see the whole name, but then maybe before the pause, you can tell me how it's pronounced. Make sure I understand the client and express it clearly. Yes. I would focus on speaking clearly, being well connected to the internet, and making sure the client could see me clearly, including my gestures such as smiling, nodding. Also, I would reassure the client that I'm not only one in the room and we had a safe space together. Perfect. That I am the only one in the room. Yeah, it's safe. I am the only one here listening to you. Of course, I'm not doing this in some general place with a lot of public coming in and out. Perfect. And we have two more from Vasilis. Create a comfortable space for client by smiling, use body and face language, speaking briefly more times so the client understands that he is not alone. Bring your cat or dog in the room so there will be some noise. Surprises that can break the ice when client feels embarrassment. It's a wonderful idea. If you don't have cats, please get some. It will be very practical. Generally, bring small surprises and making jokes so client feel human presence. Yes, of course, humor has a huge healing potential if we know how to handle it. We also discussed during our offline trainings that sarcasm and irony are not a humor, it's a kind of aggression. There are some cultures that are really concerned with sarcasm or irony, but in the coaching space, if we use the humor as a healing tool, it's a wonderful thing. Practice active engagement by nodding, using verbal cues like I understand or tell me more, and providing affirmations to validate their words, their tone, their pauses while asking open-ended questions, reflecting back what you've heard, and summarizing the main points. Perfect. Thank you so much. I think we could have learned a lot from each other. Thank you all for contributing, as I said, because it's amazing to see this puzzle of different ideas and that you put some effort in it, that you really thought of it. I really value your time and interest in the topic, and thank you for that, guys, really. So now I will start sharing with you, and we will start the work together. We will start with a small group work. Let me start like this. Perfect. I will move in the presentation to today's slide, and we will start with a small work in small groups. And your work now in small groups, I don't know, like number of 4 maximum, randomly set up. You will have 10 minutes in the small groups to do the technical check of your today's situation, because you will need this later for the online practice. So let's be sure that everything is ready on your side from the technical point of view. So what you should check in the small group altogether? What is your camera positioning? Move with the computer, find the best position, listen to the feedback of your friends in the group. If they see you well, what would they prefer seeing you, okay? So be sure that your camera is positioned in a very good position, that you have good eyes placement so that the people see your eyes, see your face, that you have a little slight downward angle, approximately 60 or 70 centimeters distance. If you know how to do it, or if you have a chance, depends on when you are, you can do the lighting setup. Do the audio testing. Be sure that people can hear you. Be sure that you hear the others. Look at the background, what is behind you, if it's okay, or if you should create something, depends on you. And also be sure that your internet stability is okay, so that it will help you and enhance you to carry some minutes of the online coaching practice. So you will have 10 minutes for this. Just be sure that in the small groups you do the technical check, you are ready for the next steps of the webinar. Yes, so now we can make the small groups, and we will see you in 10 minutes, and we will all be sure that your computers are ready for the next steps of our work today.
Coming.
Sure.
Good. Okay.
Okay, welcome back. Everybody's back, right, Marcus?
Yes.
Yes. Just one question, very short one. How did it go? How did it go in your small groups? Who would like to share? What did you do? How did you approach it? Luca and Vasilis, can you share with us a little bit more? We are so much interested in how it went. Vasilis.
Yeah, it was very interesting because we were only Greeks, so we speak in Greek first of all, and then we had the time to comment everything about the task was, and then we had some minutes left to speak generally about project and other things.
Perfect. And did you check everything technical about your
Yeah, we
connection and
checked
everything?
everything, and we did a very detailed comment about the background change, possibilities, and
And what feedback did you get about your gray background?
that is white. I don't like it. It's yes. I want something like I bring something here, like for example, I need some stuff.
That's great.
Color neutral, something. Yeah, and
A cat, maybe.
Cat.
Yeah, I was joking because when I wrote on Canva, everything was right, and so I would like to write something to make fun.
But do you remember, Vasilis, when we had supervision together, that I had a cat there and you had a cat there too?
Yeah,
So,
and I like it. That was my inspiration.
even with Luca, we also have cats when we speak to each other.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Thank
don't
you,
remember.
Vasilis.
I don't remember her name, but I know that she's a diva.
Yeah.
So how many Greeks are there? Because also in my group, the majority was from Greece.
Because we have many Greek people here, because we have people from our project, but also from the 21st Century Project, because people are inviting each other for the webinars.
Greek
Exactly.
territory, exactly.
Yeah.
Greek invasion. Well, I'm not mad.
Good, thank you.
But the process went well. I mean, they made me reposition myself because I was too close to the camera. And I actually like it better this way. You can see my house robes, of course. And they told me that my background is fine and fancy with the books.
Okay.
And the internet connection is fine. The audio was fine. We talked about a feature of Zoom and other platforms, which is blurring the background.
Yes.
And I share that it's not something that I particularly enjoy. And because I think it takes the person out of the room and kind of isolates them. I don't like the visual feel of it, but it's my opinion. But I think, for example, Rebecca changed her background, and I think the unblurred one is much better than the blurred one. She said, if you want to take it up, Rebecca.
Perfect. Thank you, Luca. Thank you for sharing this blurring background. People use it. I think there are different reasons. Maybe sometimes also that you are connecting from your private environment. Maybe sometimes you don't want people see on purpose, but it's good to have this reflection and feedback. Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. Georgia raised a hand.
Also, we in our team, we checked all of them, let's say, options about the camera, the sound, and we also had the opportunity to see, because some of us were out of our own room. So it was really, it was realistic if you have to do a session and you're not in an indoor place, how it would be like the sound and the background. So sometimes, yes, it could not be perfect, but we try to be at least the minimum okay. And also regarding my background, because I remember from the last webinar we had 2 days ago, I was very close to the camera and I was with all lights closed. My face was very visible, but I was a bit scary for some people, as they say. So this time I put an extra light for me.
Wow.
Yes, and so they said that, oh, it's so realistic and so warm, and someone mentioned it on the camera that it's some warm light, not just light or cold one. So it really helped and changed the whole vibe. So it really worked, and I realized that, yes, it was so important, not just to be visible, but to be very, let's say, over welcome. Not over, sorry,
Whelming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Always, Georgia, always. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, these are some details that can really make a big difference, and it's very good to hear it from other people. Like, how do you like it? What do you prefer? Maybe you can move a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, because then you know how to set this up for the real online coaching session. Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing to the people, mainly Mediterranean people, especially from the Greek territory or colony, as you like it. And now I'll just share one slide before we go to the practical part, just to sum up all the things related to the technological part. Or it's not really all, but it's just the basics. I was really thinking, because this is a very complex and broad topic and we can really go into the details, but then I was like, okay, just the purpose is to introduce the online environment as an option, and maybe not to give you really many details, so that you really focus first on the things that are really crucial, like the technology is okay, the ankle is okay, I am visible, I know how to behave, I know what to expect. Maybe later on we can provide you with some other tools and things that you can use in online format, but really it's like in the real coaching, as we always discuss, it's not about the quantity of the tools, it's about the quality of your presence there. So this is what you should practice today the most, okay? If we look at the tools and technology part, you can use different kind of video conferencing. It can be a Zoom, it can be the Google Meet, it can be the Skype, it can be whatever you prefer or or it can be something the clients use. As I already told you yesterday, like for example, at university in our city, we can't use Zoom for some political and business reasons. We can only use Teams platform, for example, for university online calls. There are different options. Most of them are very intuitive. You can try what you like the most. I think I use Google Meet the most. It's also good for me because then I am very familiar with the environment, with what to do. It's faster. Of course, in different projects, you use different platforms, but there are much more than these. This is just some examples. The technical requirements, we can think of the hardware and software part. So concerning the hardware, it's good to have the quality webcam so that you can see and you are seen in a high quality way. It's good to have a good microphone because this microphone part sometimes can be very disturbing. When we discussed on Monday that your virtual presence is very much influenced by how you speak and how you hear and see each other. Sometimes the problem with the microphone, it's still checking, can you hear me? Do you hear me? I didn't hear that. This is really disturbing for the whole process, much more than it seems for the first time. Stable internet, we already discussed. Backup device, it's good because sometimes you really want to start your computer and it doesn't start. Do you know this situation? I mean, it happens. From the 21st century, we know such happens. It should not happen, but it happens. So it's good to have the backup device always, at least the phone, so that you can connect with the phone, and proper lighting if you can influence it. It very much depends, of course, on the facilities, on the room and everything. But as Georgia showed us the example, she's not, as she said, that scary as on Monday. And the software part, it's good to have updated applications so that you don't start the updating process before the coaching session. It happened to me also, of course, that you suddenly it starts restarting and then it's like, okay, but I should be already in the meeting. So it's good to have it updated, to be aware of this, to pay attention. It's good to have the license programs for many reasons, ethical, legal, data protection, it matters. Security software, of course, to have it, and some backup solutions again. So if this doesn't work, let's do it that way. So these are the things that seem very clear, but it's also very good to be very conscious about it, like to pay attention. Sometimes I forget to pay a proper attention, and then there are different delays and different completely useless situations. They couldn't have happened before. So this was just to remind you what you should pay attention to from the tools technology part. And now we go to the practical part of today's webinar. You will have an experience with online practice in triplets. You will be always 3 or 4 people. It depends on the number. Marcus will then do it as the numbers allow us. What is important? That we will always have a coach and a client, that's for sure. And then we'll have 1 or 2 observers. What is always a rule is that whoever is not participating in whatever offline training coaching done by us will be always in the role of observer. Okay? So all the guests of the webinars who are not in CATCH or 21st Century Training Program have the chance now to be the observers. Please, the role of observer is not a role of I am there doing nothing. It's a crucial role because you can observe things and share with us later that can be very helpful for clients, for coaches, for all of us, because you can observe things. Please be very conscious, be very attentive. Look at the moments of the process that you find somehow important, either because they are working perfectly or because they are blocking the process. All these situations are very relevant to share later on, okay? You will have 30 minutes for the practice. It's up to you to divide the role of a coach and client. It's a few seconds when you are in the small groups or triplets. You will have few seconds to decide who wants to be the client, who wants to be the coach. Both experiences are very relevant. It's also good to be a coach to try it, but it's also very relevant to be a client, because even as a client, you realize what's working for you or not, that you can then apply in your coaching process. You will have half an hour of a coaching practice, and the topic, it's a recommendation, of course. If you have something really very important you want to deal with, go for it. What we would prefer or what we would suggest is my current local practice, so that we also refresh your effort with your local practice. This is a very broad topic which brings you a lot of opportunities, how to overcome some challenge, how to find more clients, or how to handle too many clients. Many things. It can be how can I find the motivation, how can I fit it in my daily regime, which is already busy. Many things. This is our suggestion. This is our recommendation. If you have another topic, a relevant one, go for it, but be aware that you have an observer there too. So choose a topic that is okay for you. After the local practice, we will have a break and we will get back here at 6 o'clock. And from 6 to 7, we will have a sharing part. We will share what we saw and what we experienced from a role of observer, coach, and client, so that we all benefit from the whole process. It's up to you what tool you want to use. Sometimes it's good to use this safe space to use something you're really afraid of to use, because this is a safe space to practice things that you are afraid. This is a safe space, a learning place. We all know that we serve each other as a learning opportunities. So use this, but use it as you understand as the client comes up with some topic or goal. Any questions about this? Now I will stop sharing, because if you raise the hand, then we will not see you.
No, just Christina said she cannot speak, so I will see. But
okay,
no, it's okay with the group. No, it works. Good, good.
It works. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't see any raised hands, Marcus?
No.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, so we are starting. Yes. Yeah, I was looking at the conversation in chat about the fake cat, which I really like. It's a look. I'm so happy that we are so focused on the professionality here. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back. I hope you had some break, and if you didn't have it, it was a voluntary decision. We have now 1 hour of sharing. We have 3 different perspectives from which we can learn. We have perspective of observers, so what you saw during the process with the eyes of somebody else looking at it. We, of course, have experience and perspective of clients, people who experienced the coaching process while being guided. And then last but not least, we have the perspective of the coaches, of the people who were guiding the process. So now I would kindly ask those who were in the role of observers, if you can share with us what you saw. I have prepared 2 questions, which I would like to receive your answers. What I would like to say now is that we are not going to monitor or that much deal with the coaching as such, but we are more going to focus on the online environment perspective. So everything what we will share now is not going to be the way you usually are used to, like if you had the goal, if you had the action plan and everything, but we will more focus on the specifics of the online environment and the virtual way of doing the coaching session. So we will start with the observers, with the zoom out perspective from what you saw. It's up to you how you want to contribute. I will just check, because we were guessing with Marcus in which group who might be who. And among observers, we think it's our guess, we can consider Anna, Rebecca, Sotirios, Rafaela, Christina. Is there anybody else who was observer and I didn't read the name? No. Okay, thank you. So my first question for observers is, how, according to your observation, did the coach maintain focus in the virtual space? So how did the coach manage to maintain the focus in the virtual space? And this is a question for observers, and we have Rafaela and Sotirios. Rafaela, you can start. Thank you.
Hello. So we had a connection problem, and at some time we lost the client.
Okay.
But before that, our coach was really confident and helped the client because she was a bit uncomfortable with the web and the meeting in the virtual environment.
Okay.
It was a positive experience for the client, as I can say.
Okay, perfect. And did you notice any specific thing that the coach did to maintain the focus in the virtual space? Like, was there anything that was used?
Yes, he kept the focus on the problem and asked a question about if the client was moving away from her from her goal and from her trouble speaking. He brought it back.
Okay, putting back to the track of
Yeah,
the previous
exactly.
goal. Okay. Thank you so much, Rafaela. Then we had Sotirios' hand. So do we have Sotirios or did we lose him?
No. I
Okay.
now hear you well.
Ciao, Sotirios.
Yeah, the coach was really interested in what he was saying, and he was asking the right questions, question after question, and yeah, he maintained a good eye contact with the
Perfect.
client.
Okay, so you noticed the good eye contact.
Yes.
How do you identify the eye contact as a good one? Can you share with us, like according to what signs?
According to?
According to what signs do you think that the eye contact was good? Because this is a learning point for us all.
Yeah, he was not nodding his head, so this shows that he is interested in what she was saying.
Okay.
And yeah, I felt it that he was really curious about what she was saying.
So who was the coach?
Vasilis.
Okay, so he was showing the genuine interest in what is being said. He was nodding, he was keeping the eye contact, and he was physically there, even if it was virtual. Perfect. Thank you, Sotirios. What about other observers? If you can't use the mic, because some of you announced that, please, you can also write it in the chat so that we know what you noticed, like how the coach managed to maintain the focus in the virtual space. Do we have more observers who can share? If not, I have another question for the observers, which is Rafael and Sotirios here, obviously. What worked really well, according to your opinion, according to your observation? What worked really well in the process? And it's a question for Rafaela and Sotirios, or for others who can't join the mic but still can contribute to the chat.
Shall I start?
Yes, sure.
Okay, I think what worked really well was that the client was pretty confident in herself about speaking about what problems her and what challenges she faces. So, and not only about that that the coach was a good like coacher, of course, but the client was able to move the conversation forward and keep herself in line also, but talk about what problems she faces, like I said.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Rafaela. Sotirios, what worked really well according to your observation?
Sorry, I have a problem with the connection sometimes. She was really willing to share some of her issues and the things that stress her this period, and of course the coaching abilities of the coach. Yeah, coaching abilities. Yeah, yeah, he was really good.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we have some contribution to the topic of observers from Christina. Thank you, Christy, so much. Georgia had very good energy and contact. Sometimes I felt like out of virtual space. Amazing. Yes, thank you so much, Christy, for sharing this. yeah, sometimes it can be so natural and so fluent that you don't really understand that you are in the virtual environment, that really the differences are not that obvious. So that's good to have this observation here too. Perfect. Thank you again, Christy, for using the chat and contribute to the sharing too. Let's go to the clients. Let's go to the client's perspective. So our guess, but please let us know if we are right or not. Our guess, who the client was, is Lucia, Janka, Lena, Sotiria. Luca, do you want to say anything, or?
I was client with the.
You were client, okay?
With Diana.
We thought that you were the coach, and Sotiria was the client. Yes, yes, yes. Is there anybody else who was a client and I didn't read the name? We made the guesses according to the time, how much you spoke within the sessions. So it was our private guesses here. So the question for the client is, what helped you to feel connected to the coach, even if it's in online? So if you look at it from the perspective of a client, what helped you to feel connected? Whoever wants to start. Sotiria. And then Lena, okay. Where is Sotiria? Maybe we lost her.
No, she's here. She's trying to unmute, I think. Sotiria,
she's because I lost her picture from my screen. She was there and now she's not. Okay, so in the meanwhile, before you maybe.
No, okay, I think, okay.
No, she managed. Yeah,
okay, you're here.
Trying to find the mic because I connected to another device and I was just yelling, wait, I'm here, please. Okay. Well, I was a client, yeah, of course. For me, what made it feel a bit more real, I personally found it, I thought it was exciting as a new experience because I'm not really a fan of those. It's not my cup of tea. So I just kept wandering at the space. I couldn't just really focus my eyes on the camera because I felt a bit of uncomfortable. But what put me into the right track, I believe, the path, and made me feel like I was actually talking to a person on the other line, was the fact that Vasily is my coach, asked me questions about the things that I had previously shared, like and when I at some point I stopped and my eyes just wandered in the space and I was thinking something, and I said out loud that okay, now that made me think of something, and he was like, okay, do you mind sharing it with me, of course. And yeah, that's kind of like put me back to earth, like landing me back to earth. It's like, okay, I'm talking to a person and he seems interested in what I'm saying. So yeah, and we also, according as far as the whole process is concerned, he from the beginning he said that, okay, did you mind if I'm taking notes, so if my eyes wander at like the bottom of the screen, I'm just writing notes. Are you okay with this? Alone at the room and stuff. So it really helped at some point.
Perfect.
It was fine.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And even the thing you mentioned, like we discussed on Monday, it's good to tell the client, if I am not with you with my eyes, I am writing the note so that I'm sure that I don't miss anything important, so that you know what is actually happening. That's perfect and helpful. Thank you, Soti. Thank you so much for starting sharing. Now it's Lena.
Georgia was so present. She was looking in the eyes all the time. She was making the right questions. She was recalling the most important things that I was saying, and I didn't recognize them. And she told me, okay, you said, let's see, you said that this, okay, yes, I told this, but I didn't understand that. Yes, she was here without criticizing me, and that was perfect. And she make a safe space for me to share something that is very difficult.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Lena. Would you be able to be very specific about what really helped you to feel connected, even if it was online?
Her smile.
Smile.
Yes. Her eyes.
Of course.
Of course. And when she told that, okay, I'm gonna take some notes, but it's a safe space, you can share. Maybe I'm not going to see you in the eye sometimes because I'm going to write, but it's okay. I will listen to you. And I think that that was the three most important things.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very helpful, I think. For me, definitely, I guess for most of us, for sure. Thank you.
Okay.
What about our client? What about other clients? What helped you to feel connected? Who were other clients who can help us with this experience? Is there anybody willing to share the perspective of a client? What helped to feel more connected? If not, I have another question from the client's perspective. What felt different if you compare it to the offline session? What specifically felt different? A question for clients, for Lena, for Sotiria. Yes, Sotiria is the first one. Again, perfect.
Okay. Different for me. Again, I'm speaking personally because I found it a bit more difficult to connect through a screen, like a device. So for me, the most difficult part is actually having a human-sized person, I guess, like human proportions, either sitting in front of me and stuff, so that I can, it helps you connect more because you feel human. It helps me actually connect and feel more human. So I think that's the part that I found more difficult because I know that I have to, stare at the screen, but I can't really visualize it as a person with emotions, like as a living thing. So that's a barrier for me.
That's the barrier.
Yeah, that's my main concern.
Mm-hmm.
Had I had a person sitting in front of me, like standing there, it would be also easier to the eye because you know when to look at them and when to wander all, and it would also make me feel more comfortable. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but this is so helpful because it's very specific what you describe as a barrier, and I think many people can relate to this. Yeah, some people don't maybe are not aware of it, but for some people it can be the barrier, as you describe.
Yeah, it's like the presence. Like I'm not really in very open-hearted people. No, I don't really open up to people. So for me, maybe it would be easier to do it through a screen because I don't have an actual like human being standing in front of me. But surprisingly, it was more difficult because maybe that's the connection I'm looking for, like having a person. I don't know.
Yeah, obviously.
If it makes sense.
Sure, it does. Thank you so much, Soti. Who else, from the perspective of a client, would like to share what really felt different, so that we have this variety or portfolio of different experiences? Yes, we have Lena.
For me, I think that it wasn't. It was. It was. Maybe it was a safer place this time. Maybe because it was Georgia. Maybe because we have already a connection. But I think that she made it look that we are together in the same place, just like being in the same room.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Thank you. Soti, you wanted to contribute again?
Yes, if I may add something that we don't have like in the real world. I faced some internet connections, let's say. So for me, even though I didn't expect it, that's another, a factor that you can control to some extent. But if it's, for I don't know, a breakout in the city or so, like the lights go out, you can't really control it. So that on top of my kind of like uncomfortableness I felt, which okay, to some extent was okay because my coach like kept bringing me back to earth. I think it was also a barrier and kind of like threw me out of balance, like the internet connection or the technical difficulties.
Thank you. Thank you for adding this. I would like to also encourage maybe some of you who were clients, but you can't join to the mic for some reasons. Again, please share in the chat. The two questions are: what felt really different for you? What could be the difference between the offline and online setting? And Luca is raising the hand, which is great. Luca, welcome.
So I didn't want to answer the questions previously because I don't really felt the difference.
Okay, but it's also great.
Between online and offline. And so I have never perceived, not from the client side or the coach side, a difference between online and offline meanings. But yeah, that's what I wanted to add basically.
And this is very relevant because thank you so much, Luca, for saying this. I know that my questions were asked in a way that a person with this kind of answer maybe didn't see the opportunity or the necessity to answer them, for sure. At the same time, it's great because then we can hear that we can really differ in this. Like there is a scale, and some people really don't see any differences. Some people really perceive it as a completely different environment and brings a lot of barriers. And then there are people who are somewhere in the middle who can handle it by some different tools. So I am happy that you share this.
Yes, because baseline, I basically don't care about the mean of communication. I think it's important to communicate whatever it could be, even on the phone, I think. So I didn't really felt much of a grand difference, let's say.
Yeah. Yes. Very good that we hear this. As I say, and as I already shared on Monday, like most of my clients prefer online because they don't see any differences, and online is logistically easier and cheaper. So that's why they prefer it. And most of them want it. So I adjusted to it, and exactly, they don't see any differences. They only see advantages of this online form. Thank you, Luca. Is there anybody else who was a client and who would like to add something to what has been said? Maybe my questions didn't raise your interest to answer because I asked about what was different, but maybe other reflections about if it was different, maybe, and if yes, then what? Okay, it seems like not. So now let's move to the perspective of the coaches. The first question for the coaches is, how comfortable did you feel in the process in the online format? How comfortable did you feel in the role of a coach in the online environment? A question for coaches. How comfortable?
His hand.
Who?
Vasilis is raising his hand.
Ah, Vasilis. Okay, I don't see it. Sorry, Vasilis, it's your turn. Perfect.
I like the manual.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt the same. For me, it was the same like it was offline session. And to be honest, I have some experience with of online, but in the first time I had in my mind, oh, it's different. But from the very first minute, I felt very comfortable, and I understand that nothing can change. That tools are the same, and communication is the same. So it's the same for me.
Okay, so you felt comfortable if it's the
Yes,
same.
I felt comfortable. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, though.
What about other coaches? How comfortable did you feel? From the perspective of the coaches. Okay, Georgia. And then Lucia.
I felt more comfortable than I was expecting, to be honest. That doesn't mean that it, for example, from 1 to 10, I felt 6.5. Probably because of the place that I was also in my room, and also the client helped me very, very much to do it.
What a good client.
Yes, and in that point I could say also it was in the beginning more weird because we had the observer and I was looking one window of the observer and one window of the client. So it was like, what is happening? But also the vibe of our observer, the aura of observer helped me very much. And I think that when in the beginning, because I was more anxious, I started to do some general questions or some to mention some things in order to gain some time and feel more comfortable. And then we started, and maybe it will sound very weird, but I think that our breaths were kind of synchronized because Lena was moving much, and that helped me to mirror her. So I started to move like her. And when she came closer to the camera, I came closer. And because she was talking very, very clear, it was very obvious for me to understand how she's talking. So later that helped me to feel more comfortable. So to lead and help her talk.
Perfect. So except for the advice, take a cat. Also take Lena as a client who makes it easier for the coach. Thank you so much, Georgia. Yeah, and also thank you for sharing the first sentence, like it was more comfortable than I thought. Yeah, it's good to hear this for the process. Then it was Lucia and then it was Janka. So Lucia, it's your turn now.
Yes, thank you. So for me, it was very comfortable because I had 3 clients who were online.
Perfect.
So I'm kind of used to this. And also I had Hanka as my client. And we already had a coaching session in December, I think, after the training in November, because she was new to the process and wanted to try some stuff. So, and Anna was our observer, which we also both know, so it didn't feel weird at all. So I felt comfortable and good during the whole process. Yeah. And
That's great.
about it.
Yeah, I am very happy to hear it. Really. Thank you, Lucia, so much. And Yanka.
Yeah, so for me it was also fine. I had some experiences before online, but before we just started, a place where I was sitting kind of broke, so I had to move, and it's to get to some other place and everything, and it was okay. It just I wasn't probably that focused at the beginning, and I felt like the flow. I didn't really manage to bring the flow that much as I would probably if I'm prepared and waiting for my client in a room and stuff. But overall, it was fine. It was okay for me to follow the client, the facial expressions and everything. And also sometimes I noticed that I was checking the observer. And then in the process, I realized like, oh, come on, you shouldn't be just checking what the person is doing or how it's taking a look at you or something. And then I just try to focus so much just on the client, not the other person.
Yeah. So you somehow won the battle with your own mind.
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
It can be disturbing, of course. There is a person and it can distract us. And if we do it in physical reality, then the observer can be sitting a little bit further or something. And it's different because then you see the screen and the mind is really running fast with many questions and overthinking very often. So you won the battle with the mind. It's really one of the biggest achievements we can have. So congratulations.
Yeah, I guess so. For sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then the next question for the coaches would be, because I am really interested in what tools did you use and how did you adopt them to the online, if you adopted them or if it worked normally. So what tools did you use? Was it a technique? Was it some template? Was it just a powerful questioning? What did you do? A question for coaches. So Yanka, you can start.
Well, I did just a powerful question tool and also scaling.
Scaling, yes.
And that's it.
Scaling and questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also wondering like, maybe what could I use? But then I was like, okay, we have little time, so I didn't want to go into that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Understandable. Yes, thank you. What about other coaches? What tools did you use? Vasilis, Georgia, Lucia. Vasilis, you prefer manually, yes?
No, I can't find it. I don't know. It's only the heart. Okay. I also use powerful questions because in the beginning we agree with Soteria to have both client and coach sessions. So we had 15 minutes each.
Okay,
And
so you switched.
yeah, but in the end, that didn't happen because we had a problem with the connections. So I use I use mostly powerful questions, and yeah, for the time I had, I thought that this is the tool I could use.
Perfect. Thank you. Georgia, Lucia, what did you use? Powerful questions or anything else, Lucia?
Yeah, only powerful questions. I used some tools before, like I've tried time reverse, and I think it was okay, like even during the virtual settings. I know you mentioned body metaphor before, like doing it online. I haven't tried it, but I'm open to trying it. But for now, with the time we also had like powerful questioning was enough.
Yeah, perfect. How did you do the reverse timeline online, Lucia? I think it can be interesting for people how to do it technically.
Oh yeah, I just didn't step back in the like I didn't show it by my body. I just did it with words. It maybe had less impact because I didn't have to walk, but with everything the person said, And while we were talking about it, and while I told them about their life when we were walking back, I think it was enough because it's a powerful tool to use. And if, yeah, sometimes words are enough, but yeah, thinking about it later, maybe it would be better if they saw me, but it's not like I'm moving around them, even though I'm in the space where I am sitting. So I don't know. I feel like it was enough at that point, but it's definitely better offline.
Yeah, like life is better offline. But still for me, well, because when I do the reverse timeline with my clients, they just do it normally. Like they put the papers on the wall, they put the milestones, they do everything, and they just comment to me what they're doing. And then they are reading it to me. So it's like I am there with them. They just put the computer somewhere closer. I don't maybe see really everything, but as we already said on Monday, the client usually is so much concerned by his or her own thoughts. They don't really care if you are physically there or you are behind the screen. So I just do it normally. I just say, do this, write this down, start with the description of what's happening in some time a frame, and then they just do it, and then they just tell it to me. They comment. They need, as I told on Monday, they need to comment more because I don't see the things, and sometimes it's even better because they even have to realize more that they would have to if I observed them. Yeah, so you can try it.
Okay, thank you. I will definitely.
Georgia, you were nodding the head that you use powerful questions. Did I get it right?
Yes, the thing is that I would like to comment something. I was surprised because it was half hour and it was one of the smallest sessions I've done as a coach, and I used different things and I was very surprised. That's why I said I felt very nice in this environment that I didn't expect it. Yes, I used powerful questions, but just two, and it was more than enough, as I understand, because after the questions, I had some specific reactions, so I understand that, okay, now either I asked the right question or I asked completely wrong question. Yes, pauses, and I felt very comfortable to use it, especially at the end. Mirroring, that came very natural. Yes, natural.
Yeah, natural.
Yes, using emojis, but not much. Of course, that very too, that it was like powerful, like the questions, and I realized this after the reaction. And the last one, it was I started to do this like intentionally because I had it on my mind. I was very careful with my voice tone when I had to be louder or lower, or changing a little bit the way of saying some things. But later the voice tone was very chilling and natural. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was also very specific, including the voice tone and mirroring and other things, because the more you are conscious, even of these tiny details, the more professional you be. So it doesn't happen like spontaneously, somehow it went nicely, but you can identify and therefore you can replicate the good elements of the quality process. That's why I'm asking you, and that's why I'm happy that I hear very, very specific answers, because this is something then we can all replicate to really focus on this. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to comment these questions, even if you are not maybe coaches, like about the tools that were used and how comfortable you felt? Again, who can't reply immediately, you can use the chat. And still there is some space, a few minutes, if you want to share. Now is the time. The more we share, the more we learn from each other's experiences, observations. Sometimes it can be a small thing that can make a big difference in our understanding So I would like to encourage you to share whatever you have in your mind now about the process which you saw, which you went through, because it can be a huge learning opportunity for others. If there is not, okay, Rafaela, perfect.
Hi, I have a question about a tool that it was mentioned, the body metaphor, if I caught it correctly, and the time reverse, and if you could explain them to me, please.
Now in 1 minute? Okay.
Not in okay. Just in like 2 words or something.
Yeah, 2 words. Okay. Even better.
Challenging.
Yeah. These are tools that the people in our trainings are learning. Reverse timeline is a perfect tool to make the client realize what he or she really wants in the life and how to get there step by step. But you simply start with the situation that the goal is already done. So you make the client imagine, okay, so what you want, it's done already. Describe it, how it feels, and then you look back like what you must have done to get to the place where you are now. This is the easiest way how I can explain this. Usually this session takes like 1 hour, 45 minutes. So there are many steps, but this is just the general explanation. But if you are interested in this, Rafaela, we are also in our projects producing different kind of manuals where we also describe the tools. So maybe your friends from the Greek colony or territory can share with you some of the resources because they have them in their folders. So there is one manual from our previous project with all these techniques described. And the body metaphor, it's a very complex tool. I don't know. Well, simply you make the client make a statue, and people from the 21st century still haven't learned this. They will only learn this later on in June. But you make the client to make a metaphor of how he or she feels with the body right now, and then how he or she would like to feel in the new state. So you are basically having 2 different body metaphors, body statues. And then you are looking for the differences between the current one and between the desired one. And then you are working with the differences in the body movements as a metaphors, and you are applying them to the everyday decisions you are making. This would be the brief description I could make now, but we have a lot of experts here who can help me. So we have people who already experienced these tools. Maybe if there is something I didn't mention and you would like to add to help Rafaela, you are more than welcome. Is it clear like this for you, Rafaela, at least for now?
It was really clear. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I am very happy that you are interested, really. It's amazing. Perfect. You dedicate your free time in the evening, twice a week. You are asking about the tools. I am amazed. It's wow. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yes, Vasilis, she is great. Do you have any other questions? Now we have this space for questions, like let's say 5 minutes before we get to the final part of today's webinar. I'll introduce you a task to do to finalize everything what we went through, but still we have some time for questions. If you have a question about online coaching, not only about the practice you did, but in general. Because we have people here who will start with it. We have people here who are already quite experienced. Okay, so we have something from Christy in our chat. Let's read it. I was quite close to practice online meetings, but those webinars enticed me to practice it. That's perfect. That's more than I expected, Christy. It's great. Yes. Try it, because you can help people who could not have the chance to be with you physically. That's great. It's inclusive tool. Yeah, of course. Offline settings still can feel more familiar to people, but as we heard together today and also on Monday, there are people who don't see any differences. And Georgia raised a hand, and we also have step out of your comfort zone. A message from Sotiria to everybody, and that's great. And it's the hashtag, so we are still keeping the track. Amazing. Georgia, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, yes. In the previous part of the webinar, we said that it would be a good idea and sometimes is recommended to record an online session. I know there are yes and no's. I still, of course, if the client wants, yes, and it's not that we are going to use it, but in the same way, is it okay if we also record an in-person session? If not,
Okay.
or the faces, just the voices?
I have never thought of this. It's a great question. I mean, like, I have never thought of it in offline setting that we would record it. The reason why I mentioned it is that the online setting simply allows this, so it can be advantage. And yes, in the program where I am studying, in this, it's called Excellent Leadership and Management, and all online coaching sessions one-to-one are recorded for our benefit. So the coach always sends me the link, and sometimes I really go through it because there are some parts of things I was saying that probably I don't remember, but I remember it was important.
Yeah,
But I have never thought of it. I mean, like, it's a great question. I mean, I don't have any answer.
I think that maybe there is not a general answer because it's really specific in any case between a client and a coach. But I had some thoughts about how not ethical. I understand since we both agree, yes, it's ethical and it's not that we're going to release it on YouTube. Of course not. But the thing is that sometimes I think that maybe it would be a trap for the client because he or she will go and check it and see it. So yes, it's his or her responsibility, but I think that maybe sometimes the clients, it depends of the level that they are during the coaching session, wouldn't be this dangerous for them because maybe they can go and listen again and see again. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's only I would need to think about this more because it's a very complex question. So what I now will share with you is just the first ideas. Okay. Let's take this as a unexpected brainstorming. From what you say to me now, I would think of it as maybe we are taking too much responsibility for them, like what they decide to do with the recordings. This is just an offer. I mean, like, we can offer to make the recording. I think it also very much depends on the purpose of the coaching session. Because the coaching sessions I'm having within the MBA program are very, like, expert related. Like, we are really dealing with management issues there. Yes, related to my personality or my leadership style, but they are very structured. And we are reflecting in the coaching process some of the topics of the course. You know, so we don't go deep into some emotional stuff. Yes, sometimes it becomes emotional because I'm an emotional person, but in general, the topics are very safe. It's about how I choose the talented person, how I work with the talented person so that the person stays, how I communicate things that are not very pleasant to hear, but you have to communicate them. So there are very, like, technical things. So I think the purpose of the coaching session is what matters. All circumstances, maybe also the vulnerability of a person or of the process. Yeah, what I mentioned is that it's just an option which online format offers. But I will definitely elaborate this more, and when we see each other in March in Athens, in Vasilis flat, we can discuss this. And then we will let everybody know what are the conclusions. Yes. Is it sufficient like this, Georgia, for now?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Sure. Yanka raised her hand. I don't know if it was on purpose. Maybe you still want to comment, or you have another question, Yanka?
Yes, I had another question, and it was about the previous webinar we had, and we talked about the tools we can use online. And for example, like we did the whiteboard in Canva, that was interesting. I might somehow use it, or something similar what you already used, probably some one of you, and maybe you could give us some advice, because I I'm like very uncertain about this. I'm not really good with this technical, all the things, and when I'm not certain, I better don't use it. But I would like to, because mostly when I work with clients in real time, I like to use some physical things and some activity like things.
Yes, I can share with
chat or just
yeah.
email, whatever, if we don't have time.
I can share with you just what I use very briefly, and then we can collect the resources for you. But this is exactly what I meant by saying that, yeah, it would be, of course, we could now give you all the list, but without having the core competencies, how to approach the online format. Again, it would be more distraction than I think the useful impact. Yes, but in general, the question is totally understandable. I am not any technical expert in using of any specific applications, but what I use in online format is, for example, I use a template of a wheel of life. I simply have it as a picture and then I share it on the screen. So the person simply sees it. It's very easy. He sees the circle with 8 pieces and you comment it. Then what I found is the digital version of Dixit cards. They are all there on the screen at once. So I just broadcast it, I project it, and I work it as a normal. It takes more time because the cards are smaller, so the client maybe sometimes needs more time to choose the card, but you can also use this. What I also sometimes use is that I have these evaluation pictures, like I don't know if you know it, but there are different figures in different settings on the pictures. Like you have, I don't know, a park setting, and then you have people sitting on the bench, sitting, crawling on the tree, people sitting on the branches, different settings, and then you can use this as an evaluation. Like you say, okay, look at the picture with these figures and choose one. How do you feel? Which figure out of these would represent? So what I basically do is the sharing option, where I share different formats, different templates, different pictures, different cards. This is what I would do, and it saves the time to me and to the client. I have all these templates, but you can also Google them. It's very easy. And yes, this is what I use. You can also use some other, like, I don't know, mind maps, for example. I've never done it online, not yet, but I definitely want to try it because now I started working with the mind maps more often on different coaching topics as a basic or as a start line. And there are softwares how you can work with the mind maps. So it's another option that the person can create the mind map and you can follow the process. But I think that Marcus is definitely much more experienced in this, like using different facilitation formats that can be also used for coaching. I don't know, Marcus, if you want to share now or if we will share the links or ideas.
What's really important is that the tool doesn't complicate anything. No, it should not make anything abstract. It should be super easy to use.
Exactly.
Or you use it over a longer period of time and then it's okay to get used to it. And for sure, the focus would be on visual tools for the online setting.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, what you can use is you can even ask the clients to generate images themselves. They can make a collage also with very easy whiteboard tools by just quickly Googling some images and putting things together, or even use AI tools to quickly make metaphors or images. But I would put the focus on visual tools definitely in the online.
Yeah. That's
what I meant also.
Yeah. But this is how I usually use it. I am sharing different kind of things, templates, pictures, or something that the people can comment. As I said, choosing the figure in some setting, representing how you feel. This can be the starting point.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I wrote all the notes here. I can share later on for others.
Perfect. So you find this helpful?
Yes, definitely. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a space for one last question, if we have some, so that we still have some time to go through the homework, but still, let's use the time if you have a question. Let me check. Okay. Vasilis, you have a question? Or you are greeting us?
It's not a question, but I would like to share something. Sorry, I don't know
Of
if I
course, share.
your time, but from our experience with Soteria during the online coaching, we had the problem. So these 15 minutes that it was disconnected, me as a coach, I had to be focused and don't forget what was the last thing and that my client said. And
Yes.
I realized how important it is for a coach to be focused, and it's his responsibility to, even if everything is broken, to stay alive.
Exactly.
I
I
would
mean,
like
what I
just to say,
what I really like is this sentence, stay alive until you die. Yes. And we can apply this. We can apply this to the coaching process too. Like, definitely, it's the responsibility of the coach because sometimes the client is in the emotions, in his own thoughts. And when the process is broken, it's always good to get back to the track, but it should be done by the coach. It should not be like, what did you say? What was the last thing you said? This is not very professional, and you're not really creating the virtual, not physical presence. So it's good to really, you have to be very, very attentive in the online format because exactly as you say, the connection can be broken. Also, as Soti shared, like sometimes it's like outer reason. I don't know, the Wi-Fi connection or internet connection in the municipality suddenly falls down. So yes, it's the responsibility of the coach to be very attentive and to follow the track. And it's perfect that you share this. Thank you. And we have Roxy.
Hi guys.
Hi Roxy,
I
it's great to see you. Or
thank
your
you.
screen, or the screen with your name at least.
I'm
Now we
here.
see.
Sorry. I just want to share one tool, because I use it always in my online meetings with not with the clients, but our working meetings. There are some tools, AI tools, that can like write down the notes from your sessions, and some of them are free to use, some of them are paid, but some of them have this special tool that can make or to visualize the connection between useful information in the topic that the client
flow
or
of
you.
the conversation. Yes.
Yes, of course. And I will try to find it and share with you. But if you working on the Teams or another tool, I don't know if it works with Zoom, but with another platform it can be. So I will, and it writes everything down, so you can go by the flow of your session, and you have no need, like me, to write something down by hand, and you can really stay focused on your client.
Yeah, that's a perfect reflection too. Thank you so much, Roxy. I use it in Teams because the latest version of the Teams can do this as well. I use it for the research interviews I'm doing, because then all the interviews I'm doing with my participants in my research are already written down. And yes, then you can use different tools based on AI who will find the connections or even create mind maps out of it. Sometimes it's helpful. So it would be nice maybe if you have the concrete tips to share it with us, and then we can add it to the materials for the others. That's fantastic. Thank you, Roxy. Yes, I will share now for last 2 minutes our presentation with a description of the task or our proposal, how you can develop further, because these webinars should also contain some part of your self-directed learning. We should somehow guide you in the process of learning. So our suggestion for the self-directed learning space here is that you can create your own short personal development plan for online coaching competencies development. So here are the competencies as we announced them on Monday: the virtual presence level, the digital rapport building, the online body language, and the technical proficiency. Again, you can start, as you already know it, by scaling. So you will conduct self-evaluation in these areas on the scale from 1 to 5. 1 very low, 5 very high. And then according to the numbers you have, you can select top 3 competencies or areas of the competencies you want to start with developing, and you just write them down. Plus, of course, action plan. So how you want to do it. So we would appreciate if you do this for you. For us, it's also some kind of feedback and information of the level, how you approach the online format, so that we are also aware of it. And we will be very happy if you can share this with me. You can send it to my mail address once you have it. It doesn't have to be long, just self-assessment in the key competencies and 3 top areas you want to develop and how. Is it clear?
Yes.
Perfect. Any questions about this? Not really. Okay. Perfect. And it's 7 p.m. Okay, so we still have something from Janka in the chat. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but yeah, it's basically what I said. So you wrote it down. It's perfect. You are working instead of AI for us this evening. Thank you, Janka, for your fast reaction and sharing with others. Perfect. It can be very helpful. So it's 7 p.m. And we got to the end of the webinar, of the second part of the webinar of about online coaching. Again, I wanted to really thank you for your high level of engagement, for your willingness to share, for supporting each other, and also for creating this virtual presence. It gives me so much energy to see your faces. I am very happy. I am looking forward to meeting you. Most of you I will meet in person soon. Sooner or later, let's put it this way. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you good luck in everything you do. And I am putting my word back to Marcus.
Thank you, Dita. Yeah, to close, just to remind you about the upcoming dates that we have, that of course there's the supervision groups and everything, but we will meet May 8 to 16 in Slovakia for the 3rd training course. It will be the training of trainers. And the next webinars will actually be on June 2nd and September 11th, if you already want to put it in your agendas. And what we'll send out very soon about this webinar now is, of course, the recording, the slides, a summary, further resources for self-directed learning, and also an evaluation form. And this you will receive very soon as a follow-up of this webinar. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining, and see you latest in Slovakia in May, but hopefully earlier, of course, in diverse formats. And thanks a lot for this. And yeah, 2 minutes over, so I think great timekeeping. Thank you, Dita. Thank you very much for preparing everything. And thank you for so many people joining also who are not the long-term participants. Like Greece really did a big effort here. Then great. Then hopefully you have a nice evening. And let's say ciao ciao to each other. Dita, please stay still a second so we discuss the follow-up. And see you soon.
See you guys. Have a nice
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
Where is the door? Where?
Bye.
The materials will be posted, right, on
Yes.
the group?
We sent by email. By email, we always send the follow-up.
Okay, perfect. Because I didn't write all the self-assessment that I had to do, but it's fine.
Yeah, it will be
Sure,
there.
no, no.
It will be in the
Okay.
presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye, bye.
Ciao.
Bye, Roxy. Ciao.